Welcome to live session. Today is March 18th, 2025, and we are in week 3 of National University Management 608 Info and Supply Chain Systems. Man, can you believe it? Week 3 already? Like I said, week 1, blink, and we're there. So for today, what I have teed up for an agenda, and of course, always Q&A. But I do want to dive into discussion. I want to dive in and discuss assignments 3 and 4. Before we do that, any questions y'all might have? Okay, let's do it. And just as a note too, I believe I got everything graded from last week. The 3 discussions, learning activities, and then the assignment. So it should be good there. Okay. Three. Let me bring up the Excel. Over here. Bring up the project. All right. So we read through the kind of the top part of this last week, which is relative to assignment 3. And then what we'll do is I want to spend a minute on assignment 3, and then I do want to go through in some more detail on your assignment 4 and how you would use this and apply that. All right. So as far as the assignment, so this is, while assignment 2, was a team project check-in, it was submitted individually. So for assignments 3, 4, and 5, they're team activity, and you just pick one team member from your team and submit that assignment. Okay. For this part of the assignment, you and your group will be creating a dashboard using the data from the quote final project information and the final project Excel right here. You and your group will submit 2 items for this team report. Upload your written report in a Word document or PDF, and it would contain one descriptive paragraph explaining each dashboard element with corresponding dashboard table, chart, or graph. Complete the yellow sections in the first 4 tabs. Okay, so what that refers to, and these are the first 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Color those, make those whatever that color is. So again, like from last week, this Excel book, you're going to use that for assignment 3 and assignment 4, and then of course assignment 5 is the PowerPoint that you'll use assignment 4 to create assignment 5. So specifically, this Excel book will be for assignment 3 and 4. The first 4 tabs, as it states in your assignment description, first 4 tabs, SKU, order history, operating costs, and sales history, the line down here. Those are the tabs you'll use for 3. And then when you start 4, you're going to continue on the rest of the tabs here. And then all that together will comprise your your final, what you need for your final project number, project 4, assignment 4. So in this, you're going to be creating, so the Word doc for your report is going to be complete. The APA formatting is required, but no external references on this. Okay. So of course, whenever you see complete APA formatting, you want to make sure that you have title page, intro, your body of your assignment, which the body of your assignment, of course, going to be these 4 items. And as we discussed before, each of those 4 would be used as your level 1 header, right? So you're going to have your introduction, you're going to have the title of your assignment, your introductory paragraph, 3 to 5 sentences. Then the very next thing is going to be your level 1 header, SKU list right in the middle. You're gonna complete that section. Order history, level 1 header right in the middle. Complete that section. So on and so forth for operating costs and sales history. So you're going to have 4 main components that make up the body of your assignment. Then, of course, from there, you're going to have a conclusion. And so in this one, since you don't need any references, then you won't have a reference page. Okay. And then the grading criteria is broken down here. And if you need anything more on APA formatting, I've plastered this YouTube video through the course. So that's there for the taking. Okay, and then upload your Excel dashboard Excel file, and then what you'll be graded on, which is broken down here, dashboard calculations and dashboard content. So you may say, well, what's the difference between dashboard calculations and dashboard content? Isn't it all the same? Good question. So let's look at dashboard calculations and define what what that is. So your dashboard calculations are going to be what the requirements say to complete in the yellow sections, right? So each of these pages has a yellow section. All right. So let's see, SKU list. So like for example, on this one, average. Let me just move this up a little bit. Yeah. All right. Good. Very good. Average sales units per day. Okay. So you have your SKU list. You have there you go. You have your description of the product, cost of the product, annual sales unit, and then average sales units per day. So you have your annual sales here, and then your annual sales per day. How would we calculate, not necessarily the formula, but just how would we calculate the average sales per day for this topic? So annual sales per day, if you have the annual sales and you take the total number of days in a year, which is 365, then that would be your calculation, right? So and that would be, so a calendar year in days is 365, right? Well, do you think they want average sales per day per calendar year or average sales per day per business days? And so if you're going to do that, then if it's work days per year. So to do that, you'd calculate the average is, I think, 22.2, then per days per month, and that'd be times 12. So if you're doing work days per year, then it'd be 266. So I guess we didn't realize we actually have 100 days off per year, and not including holidays and things like that. So if we're in the business world, then I would probably go with the 266, and that's what I always used to use. But for this assignment, let's just go with 365 because we want to keep it simple and not have to worry about all that other stuff. What I wanted to do is to articulate this or bring it up to say, okay, when, as an analyst or you're doing work, when it says average sales per day, units per day, first thing I would do, if it was my job to calculate that, is ask the question, do you mean full calendar day, or do you mean per days for work days? Because there would be a difference in what that looks like. So let's just what our formula is going to be then is, and when you write formulas in Excel, there's a couple different ways. But if we have annual sales units, basically the total number of units, and then we're going to just take that divided by 365. And so that is the average sales in units per day. And then, like I showed you, I think before, and we'll just, and you're not selling a part of a unit, so just rounding it, totally cool, because we're not selling 0.2. But that little trick I showed, when you do a calculation and it goes for straight down over here, then you can just double click that and it'll do it for you. Wow, it's all the same. Does seem weird, doesn't it? That can't be true. Or if it's a mere coincidence, but it can't. So that's divided by 365. There we go.
I think in the first one you might have put a sum.
Let's try it again. Yeah, it should still work, but let me check it out here. Let me save the. Okay, so let's do it without the sum. That equals that divided by 365. Okay. Well, there we go. I just had to save it. I guess maybe because I don't think this is saved in my. No, it is saved in my computer. Interesting. Well, but that is a little trick, and I guess I just had to save it to update it. Is to once you do the formula, and I think you can do some. That would be. And I like to use some only because then if you're going to do, I just kind of get in the habit of it, because then if you're going to do extensive, more calculations, then you can start building your string there. But let's check this out. So I did some. Double click it and save it. There we go. Yeah. I guess for some reason in this book today, I got to save it to update it. But that's a little trick where you just double click that thing and bring it down for you. So that's just on how to calculate this one. And really, it's just kind of the same, oh, that's really weird. Well, there's obviously something weird going on here, because this is in every sheet of my book. Where is that? Okay. But ultimately, that's what you're going to do, is calculate in the yellow, and it's pretty straight calculation. So once you get that done, that is going to be, is that either going to be your dashboard calculations or dashboard content? That is going to be your dashboard calculations. So when we say here dashboard calculations, that's ultimately what you're going to do, is calculate the yellow. So you're saying, okay, cool. Then, well, what's the dashboard? Now, as you remember, dashboard really is, I'm sorry, Riley, I did not see your note over here. Verse 3, does the dashboard need to be on its own tab? Good segue, Riley. So, because you may say, well, where and what's the dashboard? And if you remember from, I think, our conversation last week, and if I didn't, so dashboard is you have all these calculations, right? And so if you're not familiar with Excel and how what a dashboard is, and you're going to go through and do summation stuff, when you go to, typically a dashboard is taking a whole bunch of calculations and data, and you're just going to bring forward some important aspects that you want to typically put into like a PowerPoint, or if it's using a software where you have all this data in the background into a database, and you got different queries and things, and it just brings forward a summation or like a running average of data. And typically you use those when to understand, what you're measuring is performing, and especially you're going to use dashboard elements and reporting up to management. Okay. All right. So for the assignment, what you're going to do is you're going to create a new tab. Okay. Now, when you create a tab in Excel, it created sheet one right here. I'm going to delete that. And let's just say um, you were on this page here. If you click create a tab, and then it's going to put it over here. So wherever you're at, it's going to put it to the right of that. What I want you guys to what I want you to do is wherever your tab comes in, I want it to be this first in the first place over here. When you open the Excel book, when I open the Excel book, it's going to open to sheet two, and then you're going to have the data here following. So when you create a dashboard in Excel, we can do it real easy. And this is how you want to do it for the assignment. All right, so let's just go like maybe here, and in the reality of creating dashboards and stuff, there's probably a million ways to do it. I'm just showing you a way to do it and how we want to do it for class. That way, it's consistent across the board, right? Nope, no. Yeah, that's probably close enough. Okay. That's number one. View list. Work history. Operating cost. And sales history. There we go. Okay, so we have the kind of the construct of our dashboard. And so what we want to do now, say on sales SKU list, and why don't we do something like this, right? So what was asked to be calculated, probably, maybe is an important thing they want to know, right? So we can do something like this, do description, this, sort of graph. This one works. For an example, I'm not saying to use this graph. You'd want to use the graph that best represents the data, right? But I'll just pick this one because it's here. Yeah. Like what I would do, probably what I would do, let's do this because it's important. It's good to have things like in an order, so it kind of resonates with your brain a little bit. So I would say I would probably sort these. Wow, this Excel is really acting weird here. They're not sorting. They should sort. All right, 1 second. Let's see if that acting differently just in a new. No, it is not, is it? Well, not sure why this Excel book is acting out, but you do want to sort it. Um, and the sort function is just clearly not working. So one more thing here. If not, I'm going to move on. But it is kind of weird. It is not working. Well, if you were wanting to know how to sort, we're getting a crash course on sorting. We're going to do header. We want to sort on this one. Yeah, there's something wrong here. Let's try this. Free. No last ditch effort. Okay. There, that worked. There must have been something funky with that cell, but there we go. Put it in like an ascending order like that. So then when you do create your graph, then you will be able to do this. There we go. So, we saw the other one for a quick second where it wasn't in a descending or ascending order. And it's always easier to read, and because your mind just automatically kind of resonates when you have something in an order. Okay. So we've calculated the skew list. I use this graph right here. And now you would take this information, right? And then analyze it. And then that's what you're going to write in your report. Skew, it's skew list. So you're going to analyze the data, right? You're going to say you can take a look at the descriptions, the skew, the cost per day and things. Maybe do some other trends, but you're going to analyze that, and that's what you're going to use to write for your assignment. And then, of course, you'll include, a bar or graph in your assignment. And did it say specifically what we wanted here in the dashboard? No, I didn't call it any special graph. So go ahead and let me that over there and copy it. And you're going, finally, when does it get into the dashboard part? And there's that one. And then order history, do the same thing. So weird. And then just calculate the lead times per day, et cetera. And you're going to put those graphs in each one of those. And then that's your dashboard. And that's how you would create it. Any questions or comments? Okay, awesome. So then, of course, you do one for each one of these. That's your dashboard. So you'd be graded on that. You'd be graded on completing these sections here. And that ultimately would go for your Excel. Then, like I said, take the graph you create or a different one if you like, and then you include that in, it says one descriptive paragraph, and then your charter graph. So that's, as far as assignment 3, that's pretty much everything. Any questions at all just about assignment 3 in Talent? Okay, we're going to move on to assignment 4.
Sorry, really quickly, I apologize. For the dashboard, on the dashboards on 3, they're fine just being on the Excel sheet tabs. They don't have to be on like a separate Word document or anything.
So for assignment 3, you're going to be submitting 2 documents. One, your written report with the table and graph you create. That's this one here. And then the second part is you're going to upload your Excel that has your dashboard calculations, which ultimately it's you completing these calculations here in yellow. And then I do want you to create a new tab and have it be the first one labeled dashboard.
Got it. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
And that was for the individual reports. I mean, turn-ins, not the class. I mean, team reports, right?
So for assignment 3,
yeah,
that's this right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so for assignments 3, 4, and 5, it is a team submission, team project, team submission, and just one person from your team will submit will submit for the team. So
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay. All right, let's jump on down to 4.
I'm sorry, and really quickly, any one of us that's submitting it can submit it directly as we would a normal assignment, or do we have to submit it through the group part also? We're just adding our group assignments as well on Brightspace. Sorry.
No. Well, that's a good question. Do you have a couple of options when submitting your assignments? I thought it was just one submission, kind of like.
We can. I mean, yeah. Any one of us can submit the assignment on behalf of the entire team under how we would normally submit our assignment. Yeah. We can also attach the assignment as a file under the group forum on Brightspace. I think it's under the learning, and then you select like group for us on our end. We were able to attach files there as well.
I think I hadn't heard that. I know what the student portal looks a little different from mine sometimes. So where was that second option, Riley?
Right, click learning tools. and then groups. And then like for me, it will actually show up as like group 2, and I would click group 2, and then there's a section. Oh, okay, it looks different on yours, yeah. But there's a section where we can actually upload files as well.
Oh, well, that's and many times I've taught this class, Riley, that's never been asked to me. I didn't even know it was an option. Why don't you go ahead and just submit it through the normal submission process? Because in the back end, everything's linked. So I think you're fine. Just submit it normal, however you did, assignment. Your first, the assignment 2, that project check-in, or even assignment 2, the same way you would have submitted that, or your other, learning activities, however you submitted all those. I'd just say follow the same path.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for the question. And then 2, you always want to make sure that on your title page, when when you're in a group, and I'm sure y'all have heard this a million times, make sure you put like your group, group 1, don't get fancy, group 1, and then please put all the individual names under it. The system, it should be linked where, so Riley, let's say you submit it, then I grade it and stuff, then it's going to be for everybody. But sometimes, the link broken or something doesn't work. So make sure you're pleased to have the group number, group 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, and then each person's name. And then that way, for 1, that's per APA, and for 2, if there's any issues in the system, then it helps me, to get things put in the right, graded and applied. Okay, so we're here at 4. Oh. Okay, well, I did attach that sample paper that we did talk about last, I think the first week. All right, so assignment 4, it's a team written report. Again, no individual submissions accepted. And so for your written report, there's going to be a number of sections here, as you can see. Now, typically in APA formatting, you do not have an executive summary. However, since the intent of this one, it's kind of the case study here is on a business, and since we are in academics, but they do want an executive summary. So you can have your title page, then technically page 1, then page 2 will be your executive summary, and it'll say executive summary right on top. And remember, an executive summary is like 3/4 to a page, really, and not more than a page, but 3/4 of a page is kind of your sweet spot. And you may say, well, why is that? Is because that's the intent of an executive summary. If you have those, all this data, even with your dashboard and stuff, and you got a busy executive, you want that individual to understand a snapshot of what all this data is about in a concisely written executive summary. So that's why it's like 3/4, maximum 1 page. And then of course, your typical introduction and conclusion. So the core sections are going to be logistics purchasing, logistics inventory, logistics transportation, supply chain management here. So this really is the body of your assignment. After that, you'd be submitting your Excel, and then, of course, your formatting. Just from a grading perspective. But these areas right here are the body of it, and that aligns to up here. Logistics purchasing, logistics inventory, logistics transportation, and supply chain management. And that's these 4 sections here. 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. We need this one. Missing. Well, shoot. What's the point distribution? Always find something. Okay. Introduction. Let's just get that. Oh, so there's not a grading element for that. All right. Well, that's okay. That's weird in there. Well, make that. Yeah, there should have been a grading. Well, we'll just do that. Is that confusing like that?
That is kind of confusing. What is,
Yeah. Why don't I do this? Because it's part of your paper. I mean, it's part of what needs to be written about. And, you know, why there's no points associated to it, I do not know. Be per What about that? Does that work?
could you explain it?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, required per business case, and final project. Okay. Yeah, because it's an element that you have to write about, and there should be grades associated to that. Um, so definitely want to make sure y'all don't leave it out because it is part of everything. Okay. All right. So ultimately, you know, probably if we move this around, say body. There we go. Okay. Okay. Cool. So then, those are going to be the maybe if I number these, I'm making. Okay. Well, I think that's the best we can do. Hopefully that's explanatory enough. Okay. So ultimately, in reading through the provided case final project information, which is the case study, as we teed it up last week, you and your company, I'll go over this kind of quickly since I went through in detail last week. You're a new supply chain analyst, so that's the lens by which you're going to write this as a new supply chain analyst. Your product is Acme Corp, and your task is to analyze the data and then write about it as required. And they give in your data here, they break it down, what to use, what not to use, and also using the census information here. So when you take that information, then that's when you do all the Excel calculations first, and then you start to write about it. Remember, this is assignment 4. In assignment 4, you're still using in assignment 4, you're still using the the same Excel book, right? In assignment 3, you're going to use do calculations in these 3 tabs. And in assignment 4, you're going to do the remainder of the calculations in these remaining tabs here. So end to end, this book will be for your cumulative assignment there. Okay. So once you do all the calculations, then you need to start analyzing the data and answering the questions, right? So have your introduction, a basic introduction, and when you're looking at number B, management information systems, support cells, rate the quality of the data provided in the current database, describe what roles the sales data would be helpful in. So when you are writing your analysis for that, then, that'd be each section right there. That's how they relate to management information systems, supporting sales, and, write a paragraph about that. And then same thing, logistics purchasing, purchasing, using the data of all the orders for the voice assistant product line. What action would you recommend, and etc. So, while this is posed as a question in each one of these, when you write about it, you're not going to just like answer the questions, right? Because it's reported in APA formatting. So for each, when you answer the questions under each section, of course, you want it in a written paragraph format, not like just, answer the question, answer the question, answer the question underneath each section. All right. Let's see. Boom. Sunday. And then down here, let's see. Your group will submit 2 items to the report. Upload your written report. Upload your written report. Use the final project information as your paper requirements. That, and then upload a single data file which embodies the analysis, which is the Excel. Put it right here. There we go. And I think what we're missing here is because it doesn't say how long each of that should be. So let me define that. One of the reasons too, I really like going over these in detail because there's things that, as I read through it in detail with you, what's maybe not clear when you all read the instructions. And so I like to ensure we bring as much clarity while we're together to ensure that, when you go back and work on it, it doesn't come up later. And Simon's worth, I wonder if it's over here. So I want to see like how long each section is supposed to be. Paragraph, paragraph. Yeah, it doesn't really say, right? Like how long each section to be. Well, I say okay, so this is going to be does that make sense? If you weren't here watching me type it, would you understand that it's for the body section, it's minimum of 2 paragraphs per section, 1 through 5?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, go ahead.
In reference to management information system supporting sales, should it be inventory at the back of that sales as well? That's what it has on our assignment sheets. Yeah.
This one here. Management information. Management. Are you for this one right here? You mean?
Yeah, that's as far as our assignment sheets. I don't know if it's inventory. It's a separate section, or is that part of that inventory management information system supporting sales inventory, or is it just a separate inventory? It's a separate section by itself.
Let's see here. Well, I think that should cover everything. I'm not sure where the inventory comes in. I'm sorry. I want to answer your question thoroughly. Oh, like right here, you mean?
Yes, that's a separate section in logistics.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a good question. Good clarifying question. So each section here, as you see it, management information system supporting sales, that's a section. logistics purchasing, that's a section, and so on and so forth. And that
Oh,
would be these sections right here.
oh, okay.
So these sections, which is the body, ties back to these sections A. Basically, it is B through F.
Okay. Got it.
Probably the best way. Can we do letters there? I don't think we can. That would have been the best. Okay. Well, and yeah, so that's it. So that's going to be assignment 4, where you're going to, again, this is the case study. You're going to read through here in detail, and then do the calculations, and be sure that you do read this in detail, because so like, for example, note sales to Alaska, Puerto Rico are handled by a third party provider and not part of this analysis. So automatically, when you're calculating the data, you want to take that data out, because if not, that'll skew it. Okay. And I think that's it. That's what I'd look to cover tonight. Any questions about the assignment?
That works. Thank you.
Okay. So this is a good amount of work. It's like, in week 4, I was saying, hey, look at week 3, look at assignments, 3, 4, and 5, because they are going to take a lot of work. So this is going to be in, it's a research report, written APA, very traditional. Next week, what we will do is we'll take a look at, because your assignment 5 is the PowerPoint. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm actually going to bring up a PowerPoint and walk through it to show you how to pretty easily create the PowerPoint, because you've already done all the work in the Excel, and you've done the work in the written analysis. So next week, we'll take a look at the PowerPoint component and how to easily and efficiently create that from all the work that you've already done. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to cover tonight. And so if there's no more questions, then I think we can go ahead and adjourn and enjoy the rest of our evening.
All right. Thank you. You have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Hope to see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks.